You know what I know many of you have probably asked yourself in reading The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, hey, these poems, there's just not enough of them. Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking it, subscribing if this is something you end up enjoying. You never know, it could happen. Hey, it's my top shelf news for this week. I snagged in an extra video. I was able to get back a little bit early from my vacation, only to go again. I had a hearing, but it got continued, so it was kind of worthless, but here we are. I was able to at least jump in and do another video in between. So this is my top shelf news where I like to talk about the latest in books and media as it relates to science fiction, fantasy, and sometimes horror, mostly focusing on books, especially this week. Lots of good book news, so anyway, lots of stuff to get into. Let's jump into it. First things first, the biggest one has to be, I saw it come into my email and I was so excited. It's the Broken Bindings Malazan edition, or Deadhouse Gates. It's amazing. Felix Ortiz strikes again with Patrick Leo, and it is so good. They've done such a good job, and especially because Patrick is picking out the right scenes so far. So good. He's doing a great job. I'm so excited for more. But this is Vathar Crossing, or The Day of Pure Blood. It's a powerful, epic scene. Just so epic. One of the first, I think, parts where I just fell in love with the sappers, with the Marines, with just the engineers of the Marines, right? Like I loved them just so much more because of this. So far so good. Felix Ortiz has never disappointed in my book. I better knock on some wood, but I think he's doing a great job, and I love that Patrick Leo is behind this all. So it's so great. All right, and we'll just keep going with the big news. The biggest news. In my last news video, I feel a little bad. I actually didn't mean to do this. It's, you got to film and then you got to edit. So sometimes those can take a little bit. But what I did was I announced Brandon Sanderson's new book that was his new children's book, only for him to come out with a secret project new book announcement literally the same day that I posted my news update, which was clearly a little behind. So now I'm still very behind. But anyway, so I screwed up. I'm sorry. I just, it's one of those that I'm kind of, it's funny, the timing, and only Brandon Sanderson could surprise you with yet another book. It's just so funny. But so anyway, there's a new secret project book. There's not a whole lot of information released on it. It is going up with his new backer kit, crowdfunding for the Words of Radiance leather bound. You can either get them separately, get them together, and it's not a bad price at all. I think it's absolutely doable. So anyway, very exciting news. Sorry to throw everybody off on my last news. I did not mean to do that. Did not. There was a thing that he posted on Facebook where he just kind of talks, like Sanderson just kind of talks about how he's just like, look, it's just who I am. You leave me alone for a little bit and suddenly you've got new books. I can't help myself. And it just made me happy. I was just so, I love it. How cool just the love of story and everything and character, and just to come out with yet another secret project. It's so much fun. And again, for Sanderson fans, like, that's huge. And again, I mean, he's like the only author that gets close to keeping up with the fans, because that's the problem with as I understand it, one of the many problems of being an author is that as soon as you get that book that you've worked, sometimes 50 years on, sometimes many years on at least, and people read it in less than a day. And then they're like, where's more? So anyway, it's impressive. It's amazing as usual, but here we are. Then I thought this was great news. I just saw this on Patrick's channel. Blood Over Bright Haven, M.L. Wong, is actually getting a traditional publishing release from Del Rey. I think that's so cool. Definitely deserves it. Definitely, I'm wondering if M.L. Wong will learn, I guess, through this, that really self-publishing is the way to go. So we'll see. I just find that a lot of authors that have been successful through self-publishing have, I guess, been disappointed a little bit in the traditional way. I feel like, too, there's all kinds of emotions, right, related to publishing, and I'm sure there's a little bit of like, hey, I've officially made it as a published author by being traditionally published. Have you made it as an author by publishing independently self-published? Absolutely. But I'm sure there's like a little bit in some people that really feel like that. Am I attributing feelings to someone that I have no idea what they feel? Absolutely. Am I probably using my own feelings about that? Potentially. But anyway, pretty cool. I hope it goes well. And anyway, I think the best of this. But again, I think Emma Wong has done great self-publishing, and the sort of Kaigen, if anything, shows that a book can be either traditionally published or self-published and be just as good. So it doesn't matter where it's published. What matters is the story and the words and everything in it. Then we've got a third book title, The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is the third book in the Bloodsworn trilogy. Is it trilogy? It might be more. I'll have to double check, see if Editing Bryce knows anything. John Gwynne, this is the third book, at least we can say, in that series. I know a lot of people are very excited and very much looking forward to it. John Gwynne has been on my list. I have made a promise in recent months that I will read Malice this year. This will happen. So I might as well just make it clear. So I'm gonna get on the John Gwynne bandwagon finally. It's taken me long enough, but there have been promises made. Now I got to keep them, and I need more accountability, clearly. But I already have it. I own the book. It's just a matter of reading it. So we're gonna fit it in. It's gonna happen because I'm going to mood read it at some time, I'm sure. But regardless, I will have to read it. This is the news for huge projects, but the next one is J.R.R. Tolkien collected poems. You know what I know many of you have probably asked yourself in reading The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, hey, these poems, there's just not enough of them. What if we just had a book that was only poems? That's what we're all clamoring for. I'm sure you have never skipped a poem in The Lord of the Rings with Hobbit. I can't even get through with a straight face. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I liked that the kind of description of it is like, look, you know, anyone who's going to get this already owns at least one or two versions of one of the books by J.R.R. Tolkien, I'm sure. So anyway, it's just funny. Collected poems. The one thing that I would say at least a majority. I would feel comfortable stating that a majority of people skip the poems. 50+% is really what I'm going at. I'm not saying 90%. I am a completionist. If I'm reading a book and not DNFing it, which I'm totally comfortable with. But if I'm reading the book. I'm reading everything in the book. I know others go as far as to read like the front material and the copyright material. I don't go that far that I require of myself, but I do read all of the epigraphs, which those are often called, or the poems or the songs or whatever. I read them all, especially in The Lord of the Rings. I am convinced that they do help, but I do find it funny. The only person that I've ever seen absolutely love the poems or songs in The Hobbit is my daughter when I was reading them to her at like 5 or 4 years old, and she asked me to sing the song, the spider song from The Hobbit, and you better believe I did. So old Tom Noddy, and we sang those many times, but she's the only one that I've ever heard who likes those, and I like to think that it was somewhat because of the lovely time we were sharing reading together, and also my great singing voice. Anyway, then last in book news, I wanted to make a correction. I apologize. My last news, I talked about H.L. Tinsley's new book, The Hallows. I'm actually pronouncing it right this time. Editing Bryce doesn't need to get on me about this, okay? Editing Bryce, we got this time, I think. I mentioned that it was a sequel to We Men of Ash and Shadow. I screwed that up. I think there is a sequel in the works, which is great news. But The Hallows is its own book. And I just got a review copy from the author, so thank you very much. Ms. Tinsley, sorry for that, for screwing up so many parts of your book announcement, not the least of which was the title. But anyway, go check that out for sure. All right, then in media news, I wanted to get into a couple just very small bits of media news. First of all, Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix has been renewed for 2 more seasons. So we've got seasons 2 and 3 already renewed for. I have given Netflix a hard time in the past. And again, that's where I gave respect to Amazon for sticking with the Rings of Power despite my feelings towards it. But giving that some more seasons, I do like that Amazon does that. I do like here that Netflix has at least committed to a couple more. I watched the first episode with my kids. We all loved it. I know there have been some issues taken with it, but so far so good. I haven't seen more than the first episode though. It seemed pretty accurate. They added a couple things to the very beginning, kind of to get us to a place. I wasn't quite ready for that. I did have a young one watching, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to get in big trouble. I was like, oh no, I was not ready for that to happen. But anyway, we got through it. But overall, everybody loved it. It was fun. And again, it seemed pretty accurate for the show. My kids are obsessed. If they ever get some screen time, you better believe they're watching The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra. They have all watched it at least once through, if not a couple times through. They love it, so I'm so excited. It's just so fun to watch these things with them. And again, proud dad moment to introduce them to it. Very proud of that, actually. Then last final bit of news, the 3-body problem. That's got a trailer. If you haven't checked out the trailers, there's actually multiple trailers, but the final trailer's already even come out. It looks good. I have to say, I really enjoyed the book. I liked that it's really a good like traditional science fiction where you're kind of early science fiction like Asimov, where it's like throwing lots of ideas that these are like plausible ideas at you, but also throwing in just some really interesting things going on and a really interesting plot. The characters still aren't quite, it's more of the focus on the science, which sometimes that's what you want in a good science fiction book. So I am excited, especially like computer science it was an interesting factor, I thought, in this book. So and well used, and again, where it makes it like, oh, that's kind of plausible actually. So really cool, very excited for that. So that's been the news for this week. Remember, there are Kindle ebook deals in the description down below. Check those out if you want to. I always like to provide what I see. I'm a kind of an addict to deals, and there's always some kind of deal going on. So I like to curate a little bit of a list and show what's new and what's already been. What's been a deal but still a deal to this day. They kind of update over the months. Does support the channel if you're looking to support the channel, and actually anything you purchase, I think, through these links then comes back to the channel, so I do appreciate that. Gets things like better cameras, better lighting, better things for the channel. I really, at least at this stage, really invest back into making this better, making it better audio, better video. One day we'll get a new logo and we'll get some things moving. I'm very excited for that. I've already seen some prototypes and they look really cool. I really love them. But if I have heard lots of people ask to how they can support the channel, that's definitely one way to do it. I track it. I don't make a ton off of it, but they are Amazon affiliate links. So anyway, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.